Hello, learner. Welcome to Mr. Quickest Teachers. In this lesson, I'll be providing a detailed analysis of Margaret Atwood's poem, The City Planners. I'll speak about the themes, the figures of speech, the point of view, the poet's tone, the mood, structure, poetic devices, and the rhyme scheme. Essentially, I'll prepare you for any kind of question that can be thrown to you in either the GCSE or IGCSE or any other exam where you're examined on this poem. Let's dive in. Let's begin by speaking about the poet Margaret Atwood. She was born on November 18th, 1939. She's a Canadian poet, novelist, literary critic, essayist, teacher, environmental activist, and inventor. Since 1961, she has published 18 books of poetry, 18 novels, 11 books of non-fiction, 9 collections of short fiction, 8 children's books, 2 graphic novels, and a number of small press editions of both poetry and fiction. She has also won numerous awards and honors for her writing, including 2 Booker Prizes, Governor General's Award, and Frank Kafka's Prize, among others. So essentially, she's a very fulfilled and accomplished poet. Now, this is how the poem appears in the anthology, right? It's about 7 stanzas in total. But if you observe, the first 2 stanzas are a bit bulky and then the other stanzas are smaller. So that's how the poem appears. In total, it's about 38 lines. But I'll speak about the structure as we continue. Now, let me begin by reading the poem. And then I'll read out 2 past questions from the GCSE. I mean, if you're preparing for the GCSE, that will be quite helpful for you. And then we'll dive into the analysis. The City Planners by Margaret Atwood. Cruising these residential Sunday streets in dry August sunlight. What offends us is the sanities. The houses in pedantic rows, the planted sanitary trees, as a set levelness of surface like a rebuke to the dent in our car door. No shouting here or shatter of glass, nothing more abrupt than the rational whine of a power mower cutting a straight swath in the discouraged grass. But though the driveways neatly sidestep hysteria by being even, the roofs all display the same slant of avoidance to the hot sky. Certain things, the smell of oil are faint, sickness lingering in the garages, a splash of paint on brick, surprising as a bruise. A plastic hose poised in a vicious squall, even the too fixed stare of the wide windows. Give momentary access to the landscape behind or under, the future cracks in the plaster. When the houses capsize, will slide obliquely into the clay seas. Gradual as glaciers that right now nobody notices. That is where the city planners, with the insane faces of political conspirators, are scattered over unsurveyed territories, concealed from each other, each in his own private blizzard. Guessing directions, they sketch transitory lines, rigid as wooden borders on the wall in the white vanishing air, tracing the panic of suburb order in the bland madness of snows. Now, one of the first things I see in the poem is Margaret's tone. Make note of this. It's a very, very important part of the poem. And when I read the City Planners, there are sort of correlations with Bo Kim Cheng's The Planners. Now, one of the first things I want to read out is a past or 2 past questions, and then we'll dive into the analysis. So this is a past question. The most recent one, 2023, is: in what ways does Atwood convey her strong emotions about the City Planners? So here they ask you about a tone. So the question is mostly focused on the tone of Atwood. And another one is, to what extent does Atwood make you feel that human activities are pointless in the City Planner? So in both questions, you see there's a difference. But in the first one I read, Atwood, how does he convey strong emotions? Now, one of the first things I want you to note is Atwood's tone. She's very critical of the actions of the City Planners. And the reason why is that there are multiple points, but for me, there are about 4 key points why she does this. The obsessive pursuit of perfection that's a point that would help us in the essays. And then there are also, on my website, there are also IGCSE style A-star questions that can help you understand how to bend, no matter the question you're thrown, how to bend and answer the question. So one of the first things that she talks about is the obsessive pursuit of perfection by the city planners. And then there are laws that they've instituted against the noise. Then she also talks about the sort of the hidden violence in the setting that the city planners are trying to cover, right? And then towards the end of the poem, she tells us that ultimately all these things that they built in this residential area is just going to vanish one day. Now, Atwood opens the poem, the first line, with the action by revealing that she's cruising, which exposes that she's in an automobile that is traveling at moderate speed. Cruising, the present continuous tense of cruise, also shows that she's engaging in the action as she speaks. So this is like a live event. Her use of the present continuous tense also makes it seem like the reader is experiencing a live event. That is, a day in the life of Atwood. Additionally, a description of her drive as cruising also suggests that it was a leisurely ride that was being carried out for sightseeing, observing the setting, and was begun with no fixed destination in mind. So it's not like something that she started off with any reason. She's just cruising. Her use of these in reference to the setting tells that she is going through a sizable area, while the adjective residential exposes that the area has identical houses and streets and is used as people's abodes or homes. So it's like a place that's been zoned for residential accommodation. So cruising these, it's a large area. Now, unlike the planners where Cheng talks about the change of an entire city, Atwood here is talking about the change in the residential area. Later on, we are going to see that she talks about it being on clay seas. So I suspect that she thinks that the setting on which the houses have been built is not suitable or is not safe enough. Residential also implies that the city authorities zoned or designated the area as a place for people to build only homes. More importantly, residential also amplifies the idea that the setting is situated in the suburbs. Sunday streets suggest that it's an upscale part of town. So it's an upscale, like bourgeois place where rich people stay. That is a place with modern homes. The idea of it being upscale is gleaned from the idiomatic expression Sunday best. I mean, if you've heard of Sunday best before, it's an idiomatic expression that is usually used in reference to the best of a person's clothes. But here she says Sunday streets. Simply, Atwood wants the reader to know that the area is upscale, right? It's an upscale part of the city. Furthermore, her fusion of the first line into the second with enjambment allows her to continue without a line break. It's very effective because it presents a cruise as smooth. So it means the road in the residential area is very smooth. It's free. And because presumably she's driving on tarred road. In the second line of the stanza, she provides tactile imagery of the setting by characterizing the weather as dry August sunlight. Dry tells that the air was extremely crisp. So this is tactile imagery, feeling, right? What you feel, dry. So it tells that the air was extremely crisp, devoid of moisture, as is the case in the summer months. Figuratively, however, so the literal meaning of dry is, the moisture bit, the lack of moisture, and it's crisp. But then figuratively, dry suggests that the air lacked warmth. It was dull, it was lifeless, devoid of excitement, palpably listless, lacked color, and was very plain. So it's not a place where people are affable towards each other, love each other. It's dry. There's no sense of community. While August sunlight alludes to the time of the year, August, and the warm weather conditions, sunlight. So it's warm, it's very sunny. Furthermore, August also attributes a sense of auspiciousness and grandeur to the setting, and implies that it was the best time of the year, like the proverbial August visitor. Finally, sunlight also provides tactile imagery of the heat and vitality in the setting. So you see that in the first two lines, we're told that she's cruising. Where is she cruising? Residential area. Why? What does the place look like? Sunday street. It's bourgeois. It's rich. How does it feel like the temperature in dry August sunlight? So essentially, we've been provided very key information in the first two lines of the poem already. Then the second line ends with a colon, right? That's what Atwood uses, which suggests that she's about to provide further details about her drive. The colon also adds suspense to the narration. Atwood reveals her attitude towards the activities of the city planners by confessing what offends us. So in the third line, she just tells her that what offends us, to tell us that she is very critical of their actions. She's offended by their actions. So in terms of her tone, not only is she irritated, critical, she's also offended. And she uses the word us. I'm going to come to that bit in a minute, which exposes that there are aspects of the setting, when she says what offends us, there are aspects of the setting that irritates her. In fact, offense not only suggests that she's irritated, but that tells that she's also angry. So offense is present continuous. It's happening as she's speaking live. So it's not like a offended kind of, it offends us. I'm talking about what's happening to me right now. Furthermore, a use of the plural first person pronoun us shows that like her, there are others in the setting that are deeply upset by the actions of the city planners. So she's not the only person that's offended. Us. There are more than one person, more than her. 2, 3, 1,000, we're not told. But there are multiple people that are offended by what the city planners are doing. A use of us is important because it shows that she's not being unreasonable. Nor is she a crazy woman, like what we call today a Karen, with a personal and baseless hatred for the city planners. No, that's not the situation. There are countless other people like her. So she's not the only one that's just trying to stir up trouble. There are people like her that are irritated by the actions of the city authorities or the city planners. Atwood flows from the third line to the fourth with enjambment, which creates a drum roll effect, like a drum roll, because the third line of the stanza ends with is, which signals that she's about to reveal more damning details about the actions of the city planners. Additionally, her use of enjambment also creates momentary suspense, again another cliffhanger. In the succeeding line, she continues the sanities. So that's what she tells us, an allusion to the features of the setting that were put up by the group or the city planners to create a sense of normalcy and project sanity. So what offends us is the sanities. They've created these things that are like sanities. In the succeeding line, she continues the sanities, an allusion to features in the setting that were put up by the group to create a sense of normalcy and to project sanity. I mentioned that already. She ends the line with a colon, which signals that, right? You see the end of the colon. So this is the second time. The second line ends with a colon. The fourth line also ends with a colon as well. So the colon, again, communicates that she's about to provide more information, presumably a list of all the things that the city planners consider sanities. Hello, learner. I hope you've enjoyed the lesson so far. This is a sample video analysis of this poem. To access the full analysis, purchase it or the entire course with detailed analysis of all the 15 poems, the elements of literature in each poem, and IGCSE style questions, both passage-based and general. There are also A-star quality sample essays as well at mrquickesteaches.com. Find the links in the description. See you in class.